Bob Heil, K9EID, welcome to DX Engineering in Talmadge, Ohio. We're very happy to have you here today, and we thought while you were in town, we'd take a few minutes and sit down and talk about ham radio with Bob Heil.
One of my favorite subjects, Tim Duffy, is ham radio. 1956, I was very fortunate. My parents bought me a little TBS 50D Harvey Wells. It started a whole career for me, not one, two, or three careers, and I learned it all from ham radio.
Right.
I still have the Harvey Wells on the air, by the way. I love what goes on in amateur radio. Some of it has been lost, some of it's been added, but there's this wonderful thing of camaraderie, there's this wonderful thing of engineering, and then there's this wonderful thing of having fun.
And having fun is really what I want to talk about today with you. Is what's the future look like from your eyes when it comes to amateur radio? What do you see? You've been on a lot of groundbreaking technology throughout your ham radio career, and most recently on an internet TV show, and who knew what was going to happen there? Could have been a bust after the first one or two episodes. And now, after 127 episodes in the can, it's going strong, stronger than ever, gaining more viewers every week. Where do you see this all going?
I think there's going to be quite a good marriage of the internet and amateur radio, as there is right now. I mean, there's a lot of things with guys doing remote operations and just passing information back and forth. If you look back, I pay a lot of attention to some of the pages on the internet daily to go in and check things, and you see stations. I like to see pictures of people's stations, and we get them sent to Ham Nation all the time, and it's really amazing. If you'd have gone back 4 or 5 years ago, one or two would have had a computer or a computer screen. Now, man, they got 3 or 4 or 5 screens and all kinds of stuff going on, because the internet gives us the information that we need. Like, where can I buy a part? I can get on the DX Engineering website and I can find that part, and then I can share that with my buddies, and they'll say, "Hey, where'd you get that?" "Well, I got it at DX Engineering. Check this out." And I hear it all the time, where they'll get two guys talking together on one of the amateur radio bands, and they both have the same website up, conversing about that piece of equipment. Where else would that happen? Without that internet, they don't have the facts and figures. They might have had to have somebody mail it to them or go to a dealer. Well, years ago, dealers were different. I remember when I was a 15-year-old kid, I went into Walter Ash in St. Louis, and I wanted to buy some resistors because I was building this transverter for my transmitter that I could put it on 6 meters or 2 meters from 20 meters. And I had this little list, and the man behind the counter came up and, "What can I help you with, son?" And I got my little list out, and he said, "Well, now, do you know how this works? What are you going to do?" And I showed him my circuit, and he started explaining to me what I was buying and how it was going to work. That man was Walter Ash. He wasn't sitting in the back office somewhere. He was out on the counter because he had as much passion as this little kid did. But he's sharing that. I don't see a lot of that going on today with amateur radio dealers. They're too busy. I don't know what they're too busy with, but they don't really carry everything to the full intent. Some do. I'm not saying all of them, but there could be a lot more information passed.
Some room there. But you know, you talk about passion. Now, you're on the air every day.
Every day that
you're on the amateur radio ham bands every day, talking to anybody. Anybody that'll talk to Bob Heil. And some of these guys don't know who you are.
That's good.
What's that like?
Well, I like to just get on and talk, and I've got this great new antenna system. It phased dipoles on 40 meters and phased on 75, and it's amazing what you can do with just a little chunk of wire changing the phase. You can get 20 dB front to back. It's just really cool, and I love playing with all that kind of stuff. And so I like playing with all these new antennas. I haven't been on 160 meters in my whole life until I moved to this new place a couple of years ago that my sweet wife Sarah bought for us. That she said, this will be good for your ham radio. Yeah, it really is. Acres full of antennas now. But I just love to change things in my setup and see what works, what doesn't work. And I still have a lot of my original equipment. With a Mosley receiver, a lot of people don't even know Mosley built a receiver. Right. And a couple of months ago, I was able to go by the man's house. He's still living, John Clements, that designed that receiver, and he signed mine for me. And this is cool, okay? To a lot of people, that and a quarter buys you half a cup of coffee, and I don't drink coffee, but that's sad, because here's a man that had this great design, and it's on the market, and I use it every day. It's my AM receiver. I love it.
Right.
But I love all that old stuff, and these are the things that I think a lot of people coming into the hobby miss. They buy their rig, and they put up an antenna that somebody else built. They buy a packaged antenna. Nothing wrong with that, but I really would hope that more people would get into building their own stuff, and it's not true that they couldn't do it. There's a lot of things we can still build, you know.
All right. Well, I mean, these antennas that you just put up, the phased dipoles, I mean, if you look at what you had to pay for the wire and the coax, and, you know, put all that together, I mean, it's inexpensive stuff.
Right, exactly.
And you're on the air talking to people, you've got directivity. Now, you had to do a little bit of research.
Yes, I did.
And there's some creativity in there, and some soldering. But, you know, and so how do you see transferring this knowledge to people that are just getting started in amateur
Well, we'll
radio?
take that example. Before being able to get on the internet and something, how would you do all of this? You'd have to get a book, and it's in my new book, Heil Ham Radio Handbook. There's a whole chapter on this kind of stuff. But what if you didn't have the book in front of you? Well, if you go to the internet and go to programs 63 and 65 of Ham Nation, there's about 8 minutes on each one of them of how I built it, how it works, all the dimensions, and the most important, the phasing line. It's 42 feet. That 42 foot of coax gives me that front to back. And you say, what's that mean? Well, you either switch it in or out. And when you switch it in, it delays this one. And when it delays, it's out of phase. Switch it this way, it goes the other way. It's very simple. And it's all in that little video. So there we are with the internet, bringing that information to those that say, oh, that's a big design, it's going to cost thousands of dollars. No, it's 42 foot of coax. And it doesn't even have to be any special kind of coax. It's coax, you know. It's got to have the right velocity factor, of course. But just good old 213 or RG8, what the heck.
Right. But I mean, a lot of times we hear barriers, you know, with new people coming in, and there's rumors that say, you know, it costs thousands of dollars, and who are you going to talk to anyway?
Right.
You know, some of the interesting conversations that you've had recently where the lights come on, you know, a new ham that is just getting started, and they say, look, I was watching your show, and I didn't really understand something, and I didn't want to look like I didn't understand it, but the light came on, and it was from Gordon West or George Thomas or one of the guys on the show. But how do you leverage that going forward? How do you see the Elmering part of what Ham Nation is doing about amateur radio?
Well, I would hope that some of this would be carried to the clubs. It's really a sad thing for me to see that some of these clubs are fading away because they don't have any interesting programs. They gather around a table, they have a dinner, they read the secretary notes, and they could read the secretary notes or the meeting notes from 2 years ago, and it's the same and that's okay. It's a camaraderie, but we're not furthering the club as to what it's doing, and especially if new people come. I hear this a lot, Tim, where new guys that come into the hobby, new guys and gals, and I say, yeah, I went to the club meeting, but I didn't get too involved. Well, you know what happened? They're cliquey. They're clicky, and they're like, we got our little bunch over here, and we've been doing this for 20 years, and here comes new people. There's the barrier. That's the real brick wall that I'd love to see broken down. And one of my favorite contacts is to hear somebody that's new. And if I do, I will wait till he's finished with his contact and call him. And I'm hoping he doesn't know who I am. I don't want it to be that conversation. I appreciate that and all that, but I want to talk to him just as a ham in the club here. Hey, buddy, let's see what you got going on here.
Right.
Tell me how you built your antenna and so on. And I'm really amazed that so many of them will tell me the same thing. Oh, I don't think I could do that. And we have shown it several times on the program. One time we did it with Leo. We had him build it. This is so simple to build a 40-meter antenna. And then last Dayton, I had a friend of mine. I said, because I never can get out in the parking lot. I can't get in the flea market at Dayton. I'm behind our counter and it's it. Okay. I said, I want you to find me a transceiver for about 100, 150 bucks. And he did. He brought me back a TS-130, paid 130 bucks for it. Okay? All right. I took it home. I built a 40-meter dipole. That's 2 pieces of wire, 33 foot long. You can use any kind of wire. You could hook up wire because you only got 100 watts. You could hook anything. Tie it and make your little center insulator, and that's easy to do, and put a piece of coax on it. I put it up, and I listened around, and my first contact was London, England. Now, I've been in this hobby a long time, Mr. Duffy. That was darned exciting for me.
Right.
It was. It's like, wow, 150 bucks and about $2 worth of wire.
Right.
Like, whoa, is that? And I'm sorry, if you can't get enthused about that, wow, that was cool.
That's just magic.
Really? But it could happen to anybody.
It can happen to anybody, and it's within reach of anybody.
Exactly. And that we did a video on Ham Nation about that. Because I have a lot of guys tell me, oh, it costs so much to get in this hobby. No, it doesn't. Yeah, if you want to buy a new 7800 or a new 7700, there's a little investment there, a little bit more technology than the old 730. But you know what? They all talk.
They all talk.
Yeah, I don't have this, and I don't have that, I don't have that. Maybe the noise blanker's not as good, but I can talk. And I think that's what it's all about, is having fun on ham radio.
So when it comes back to the clubs, and I want to talk just for a second about that, you volunteer yourself as a guest speaker at literally tens of clubs, 10, 20, 30 clubs over the span of a course of a year. And it's done via Skype. Tell us about that, and how can somebody who is watching this video today get a hold of Bob Heil so you can be a guest program at their club?
We all do it. Gordon West does one. George does one. They're fabulous, and it costs nothing, zero.
Right.
We love to share this science, and all it takes is you got to have a good, strong signal. That's the only problem. A lot of clubs meet in places they don't have a very good internet signal. But if you got a good internet signal, that's it. Need a laptop. That's it. You're home. Of course, some of them do it really right, and they put up a large monitor, and they have big speakers, and then they put a microphone so I can hear and see them, and they can hear and see me. And we do all kinds of demos and science demos. This is not a sales seminar.
Right.
We get into building things and doing stuff, and I of course, one of the things I love is all about phasing and audio equalization and what you can do and make your signal sound better, no matter what it is. And again, applying the science, and we show how to do that. And to me, I figured at the first, these demos wouldn't work very well. They work really well. And I really love doing that for the clubs, because the clubs need more of this.
Sure.
And that's another thing that we talk about, what can be done with the internet that we couldn't do before. Well, 20 years ago, for $100, you could fly anywhere in the country, stay in a motel for $29.95. Well, today that's pretty hard to do. So Gordon or George or any of us, it's very expensive to do that. A club can't afford that. So
what's the best way for them to contact you or Gordon or
look
George?
up my call on QRZ.
All right, just go to QRZ.com
Yep.
and punch in K9EID,
Yep.
W5JDX,
Yep.
or WB6NOA,
Yep.
and the email addresses are right there.
Yep.
And you guys will take it from there.
Yeah, we don't do them together. Once in
Right.
a while, people misunderstand. We don't all three. We can't do them at the same time, but we do them in our own thing, and it just works so good, and we have a lot of fun.
Bob, we really have enjoyed spending time here today with you at DX Engineering, and we thank you for coming in and talking to us, and we look forward to seeing you in Dayton and also at DX Engineering Super DX 2014 in September. 73 from all of us here at DX Engineering.
Well, this is a fantastic place. I'm just blown away what's going on here. So my congratulations to Paul and everybody here, and you and I have been friends for years, and boy, you got to be living the dream. So thanks a lot for bringing a whole new vision of amateur radio retail to our industry. I love it.
Thanks again, Bob.
Thank you.